Well, yeah, but
And
like they said, he wouldn't have to speak.
Yeah, he doesn't
but
have to speak.
I can
That's
make
the
him
problem.
speak.
We can
right,
get the
but
confession out
stalking-
of him either way, because speaking
Okay, hang
would
on.
tell us all the truth we need. However, at the same time, him not speaking means he doesn't have to answer us about any of our other questions.
Right, but neither does any other option. At least this way, the Lord Hammer knows. Plus, there's no sense of him escaping, and we can, go into whatever study, whatever room he has, and investigate further.
Assuming that he keeps anything there.
Assuming that he doesn't kill him on the spot.
Right, but if the Lord Hammer believes he worships a god of assassins, I do think he would know, or at least be reasonable, maybe not reasonable, but at least investigate further. I don't think we should do this without him, is what I'm trying to say.
Either way, having someone roaming around who's killing people like a princess is something we shouldn't sit around and bicker about too long. Something needs to be done, and sooner rather than later. Who knows who other targets he has on his list? Maybe the Bannerlord himself is on his list if he's that close to him.
Zerzan, what does this machine of yours do?
I can show you when we go out there.
Oh, and I also have plenty of ways of preventing all movement too. You guys should be well aware of that.
I know it might seem a little brazen to suddenly bring something like that right in the hall of a king, basically, but I think if we just go in there and say, hey, he did it, he's probably just going to get mad at us anyway and kick us out. So I think kind of springing it as a surprise is going to be the only way we can actually get that to happen.
That I do agree with.
I must stress, I don't think we should do it like out in the open, sock him or whatnot. I do think the Lord Hammer should be, there when we do it.
Oh yes, that's what I'm saying. Do it in the hall. Like, ask for an audience
and in
with
the
king.
hall, there would be absolutely no way of him escaping once he confesses.
So
it's also a lot more practical.
All right.
We have a plan then?
Well, we need to see exactly what this machine does.
At that mention of seeing what it does, she instantly bounds up and shuffles out really quickly, very excited to show off what it does.
Oh, let's go.
Let's do it in a place where other people aren't gonna be. Yep.
And there they go.
They're already out of the room. There's one bright pink maid dress wearing tiefling chasing after the tiny mechanic punk looking goblin. It's a match made in every layer of the 9 hells.
I have known Gracetooth for less than an hour, but if anything happened to her, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
I would commit genocide for this little freak.
Understandable.
So, anyway. But that got you. So, she immediately runs over to the cart and, climbs up on it. There's kind of this tarp she had over it, and she pulls it off, and she pulls a lever, and a series of, mechanical crane arms extend and rotate and flip out, and they pick up something from the back of the cart that looks a little bit scrunched up, and it sets it down. Zerzan then hops in the top of it, puts her hands in these two, like, glove-looking things, and you feel a pulse of magic and a loud whistle of steam as it stands up, and it is basically an exoskeleton. It
Cool.
raises her height to just a touch over 6 feet tall. The arms look very big and strong. It's all actuated by a complicated system of gears and ropes and pulleys and a weird engine-looking thing on the back of it. And she reaches into the cart and picks up a mace that looks very well sized for this particular suit. She's like, this thing is strong. So if I need to grab him and hold his arm so he can't do anything funny, I can do that.
All right.
Woo!
How are we gonna get that into the hole?
That's where you already talking and having a rapport with the king comes in.
The only one with any sort of rapport right now is Barrick, but all right.
All right, let's go do this.
Oh,
That's
this is.
so cool.
And Barrick's just like, oh, this is gonna be interesting because he only left his home maybe left his audience maybe what, like an hour or two ago, and we're already coming back with hey, we have information.
I will say, even though she like just got it out to show it off and basically waved a mace around a little, she notably gets it back in the cart and seals it all together and sort of puts it away again. Just as other conversation is going on. Transformers sound.
Real quick. Do we have a backup plan?
Nope. We should probably think of
Yeah.
one now before we go into that hall.
I mean, if the
Because this
Mecha
entire
suit
this
fails-
entire plan does center predominantly around the spell zone of truth, which, if I am correct, some people are capable of resisting it.
There's also
I-
items that allow you to resist it as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Or give
Follower
false
of a murder
positives.
goddess, good bet.
Oh,
I don't
we
think a lot of
also don't know their name.
No, look, it doesn't matter if he can't. It doesn't matter if he succeeds his save. We can sue to fail. Mara can tell the truth and tell him with 100% certainty that he is the one who did it. We can all do that.
even if the spell fails, it's going to put so much suspicion and pressure on him. I mean, even if the spell fails and he doesn't have to tell anyone the truth, I mean, that's going
It
to put
can
a lot
also
of...
do the exact opposite as well.
But again, he doesn't have to be the one that fails as long as we're the ones that tell the truth.
But what if
We
they
can
think that we're the
tell
one
him-
that failed, and or what if he thinks that we're the one that? What if he thinks that we succeeded it and he failed?
Well, we can stand around and argue a whole bunch of what ifs all day. That doesn't change the fact that something needs to be done about this.
Look,
So-
we have information that we absolutely shouldn't have. His face, the argument, his blade, everything that we, quite frankly, shouldn't know. He sort of has to accept we're telling the truth.
Just because that is information that we know that we shouldn't does not necessarily mean that he will.
It's the
Accept it.
best bet we have.
Also, he might not necessarily have the blade because after he did what he did, he got rid of it. Made it disappear.
Well,
Like a
well,
pocket
he did.
dimension.
Right. Well, to be fair, I'm assuming Lord Hammer Lord, having studied, this goddess, would be able to know details of the blade that Mara can divulge. Information that again he knows we shouldn't be able to have.
And I guess it's worth a
Look,
shot at least.
The worst thing that's happened is that he doesn't believe us, but there's so much pressure on the killer that he can't do anything during the party. We can, and even if he walks free, we can just follow him.
No, if he walks free, we get arrested.
and get arrested for accusing a royal guard.
Not only that, I can think of one worse scenario. This is a big if. What if there's two people who look like this? One who is just appearing and isn't the actual and is the actual killer and is just using a disguise.
Well, we would have to. If that's the case, then this information that the daughter gave us is pointless anyways, because stalking him and finding him wouldn't matter.
Get him, please. We were also told that the person who would likely know the most about about the them is the head librarian. Maybe we should go talk to them real quick to find out more information.
I did
Yeah,
forget about that.
So did I.
Okay. Okay.
'Cause if
We'll
we-
still do that, and afterwards we do the plan.
Because at the very least, the more information we can have at our disposal, the better our claim will look.
Now, let's
Without
go.
a shadow of a doubt.
We need to make sure we can, without a shadow of doubt, show what we have is, correct. So, and also it would, at least for me personally, would think it might be suspicious that maybe an hour or two after we leave the hall, we immediately come back with information. And our
If
claim.
anything, that would make us more credible, because how would we make such a convincing so-called lie that fast? It would mean we have to use some sort of magical means of getting the information.
Let's just go get our information.
Because exactly what you just said, Gideon, it makes us look suspicious.
Also, the fact that besides me, you all are outsiders.
And the person we're about to accuse could be, possibly, equatable to family.
Okay, let's go to the library then.
That's why I said we should get more information. Let's go to the library.
I agree with Barrick. We should head to the library and see what the librarian knows about this.
Just because I'm coming at this from this perspective of what, as a dwarf would go, and we would, since most of this group here, with the exception of me, are, would be considered outsiders, and you guys are presenting information, very delicate information, we need to make, you guys will need to make sure that we will need to make sure we have, enough proof without a shadow of a doubt to, make this claim. So.
And let's go.
Yep.
Let's go.
Off to the library we go,
All right. with your verdict made of your plan of action, you exit the holy temple to the Lord of Life and proceed towards your next chosen objective, and that is the house of the Lord Librarian, both his temple and the greatest repository of knowledge in all the Dwarven lands. Now, for Zerzan, this is perhaps something of a dream come true. This is the greatest repository of all things that you can know and learn, the single largest library to be built in all the lands of Rashiva. And what a sight it is! Grand statues. The thing is a full, what, how many stories did I say tall it was?
Big.
Yeah, it was big as fuck. I don't remember how many.
Yeah, basically there's like 30 floors.
It's
It was
big
thick
stories
with
tall.
3 C's.
So you enter in, and this is basically orgasmic. The amount of knowledge that you could fill your time with. But of course, sadly, there is no chance to explore this, and instead, something that may draw the party's eye is, of course, some of the attendants and priests of this library. And of course, there's the counter directly in front of the party that could answer most of your questions.
Barrack.
And I'll step
The whole
forward.
party cowering behind Barrack. You go.
This is your mission. You do it.
I'll step forward to the desk and be like, "Oh, would it be possible for me to speak to the head librarian for a moment?"
The attendant looks up and, sort of glances you up and down, and then says, "Oh, is there a reason that you have a meeting or something?"
I was looking into some information that is hard to come across, and I was told by the Hammerlord himself that the head librarian might have some more information.
Oh, you. Yes, your our dear brother Barrack that has. Of course, of course. Give me just one moment.
Yep.
He kind of sifts through the papers that he was perhaps working through, and a few books that he was cataloging for later putting away, and sets them in a secure desk drawer, and then bows politely to you and says, "If you will give me just a few minutes, I will be right back."
Understandable. Thank you.
You see him take a deep breath, and then he starts hoofing it. Like he is full tilt sprinting, taking the staircases. He's taking them 3 at a time as he bounds up and out of sight.
It's like Spaceball 1. If he walks, the movie will be over.
I think there's only a few of us here that actually appreciate that joke.
Who's listening to the YouTube videos in the background?
That wasn't YouTube, that was my alarm.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, because you have to go
That's
pick
a-
up the roommate soon.
Nope,
That's
I'm
a-
bullying Chuck into doing it.
Good.
That's a wacky alarm.
Anyways, a few minutes indeed pass, and a different attendant this time is running back toward you. Someone you presume you must have caught on the way that would be closer. And this one, holding a message, comes back and says, "Your audience with the head of the library is ready. Please come and see him.
All right, thank
I regret to inform you, is on the topmost floor, but of course, our brother Barrick can lead you there.
you. All right, thank you. And I can show them the way. Looks at the rest of the party and be like, "Let's go. Time for the long haul."
I am so tempted to have Gideon to fly up to the top floor.
Barrick
Fly
looks
up the
over and is just like,
staircases.
"Don't you fucking dare."
Yeah.
You will piss off so many people if you do that.
Gavin, just through the sending stones. Man, I'm glad I have metabolism right.
So, yeah, Barrick, with familiar and practiced form, for you have done this many, 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 many times. You begin to hoof it up toward the head librarian's chamber.
Of course, I am not doing normal, quite normal speed because rest of the party are not.
Hmm.
And Barrick knows all those stairs will take it out of you.
Uh-huh. You'll feel them years adding up.
You know,
Can't,
I was just about
can't
to
say I
say,
skipped leg day.
this would probably really suck for Zerzan going up that many stairs, but then I remember these are dwarf-sized stairs, so it's probably not that bad for her after all.
Yeah, it's probably pretty average, all things considered.
For the first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like climbing up the steps inside the Capitol building. Ugh.
And indeed, by the time you get up there, it is several of you are perhaps rather on the breathless side. Barrick looks no worse for wear.
I'm gonna roll con. Let's see. 19.
Oh, I wasn't having anyone roll. I was just kind of doing this for flavor purposes.
There's my flavor.
Gideon even still. No, I was gonna ask if Gideon still has to breathe because vampire, but yeah, he almost looked around.
Yeah. You might be immortal, but you still gotta breathe, scrub.
This
ageless.
undead. Fuck.
You're ageless, but you need air, dingus.
That steady vampirism.
That's a interesting form of undead.
Also, still needs some sort of.
Hmm.
The blood of the living is my fuel. I'm kidding.
Oh, like you drink that, Mr. Starves himself.
I've been working on it.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, you only tried to kill us once.
At least.
This one.
So
No,
far.
you tried to kill Mara twice.
Why?
Alright.
What do you mean by that?
Moving on.
Alright, yeah. Trying to kill your friends aside, you have arrived, and Barrick, you see before you the door to the head librarian's chambers, and it is perhaps the most modest-looking door you have ever seen. In fact, Barrick, you would know it is customary for each head librarian to fashion this door themselves, so that each one is unique to that specific head librarian.
Gotcha. It's like home. It's like almost home sweet home, but like.
Mhm.
He'll go up to the door and knock on it, and announcing himself.
And the head librarian will nod and call out, "Please, enter."
And he will indeed enter with with the rest of his party.
That's a thick voice.
This head librarian, he smiles and he says, if it isn't the most bookish of the initiates, welcome back, Barrick. What brings you into our fold again?
Thank you. The information that I was looking into, it is of a more sensitive nature.
I see. Very well. And he
it,
seems to just wave a hand, and the room feels safe.
the reason why the information I am looking into was in relation to the goddess Sareem, because we had just recently, me and the rest of the group here for the most part, just recently got out with a meeting with the Hammerlord not too long ago, and he had said that you might have some information regarding, might know some stuff about her and her followings.
Right you are that I do know. A difficult subject to answer.
Indeed.
The goddess of murder, Zareem, most secretive.
And also why I said, it is of a sensitive nature, because
Say that again? I did not actually catch that.
it's why I said it was of a sensitive nature, because it's probably not something we want to be kept too much in common knowledge.
Let me ask you then, why do you wish to know? Few ask after the goddess of murder, and fewer still say so in sensitive tones.
The reason why I had made that, the reason why is because with what happened with the Hammerlord's daughter, he believes that she may have been murdered by a follower of hers.
He sits down with a notable heft. A sensation as if gravity in the room has intensified as he combs through his beard with his fingers. He then snaps his fingers and various bookshelves in the room seem to shift positions, sliding left, right, ascending, descending, swapping positions, and a book eventually levitates off one of these shelves, floats over, and sets down in front of him. I presume the only reason that you know any of this is that you perhaps used some means of vision, seeing, scrying. It would be the only way you'd have received information, as the Hammerlord has been tight-lipped as to the nature of his daughter.
Indeed. My friend over here indicating towards Morrow, she was able to get a vision of, what happened. And the Hammerlord had mentioned previously that there was some indication, like some hints, that it could have, what was left at the scene could have indicated as such that it could have been related to the goddess. And she was able to see what had happened and able to confirm that it was indeed what happened.
Let me ask you. In this vision, whatever you may call it, did you see this? He makes a motion with his hand, and the book turns itself to face towards you, levitating closer. The pages flip and turn, and what you see is a dagger that seems not rusted, but so thoroughly caked in blood as to be indistinguishable from rust.
I thought he was
Well,
gonna pull out the actual dagger for a second there.
uh,
This is the twist.
yeah.
What you
Barrick would
see-
actually indicate towards Mara to step forward and be like, you know.
Okay. So yes, so for Mara specifically then, you get a close-up look at this, and it is precisely as you had viewed it. The serrations that are so jagged as to be impractical. The point of the knife so honed that looking at it makes it feel as if you might prick yourself upon it.
I assume it's of that same type.
Indeed, this would be the same look as the one in your vision.
That's exactly the one.
Then I implore you to read further, making a gesture at the book.
Yeah,
I know
she
Barrick would be, yeah, like Barrick would leave room for Mara to read as well. So
All right, and if you give me just a second, I will type this out to Mara for Mara to read.
yeah. Yeah. And I will say Barrick was also right there. It's more so he's letting Mara go first.
And there you are. And of course, I would definitely appreciate it if you read this out as Mara, because that'd just be cool.
okay. All right.
Don't do it.
The bleeding dagger, item of Thereem worship, sacred and given only to followers, feeds their immortality, their lust for blood, and indeed is a sign of her love to them. Sleep with her, lie with her, kill openly for her name. So long as
I might have typoed it. Well,
yeah.
it is supposed to be please, but
Okay.
I mean, praise in this sense could be understood the same.
And so long as they please her, them, and never let death resurrected at her temple, The only true way to kill one is to force them to impale themselves on the dagger. But this results in something.
Results in what?
I can't read it.
As in character, or
Yes.
okay. What does it
so-
result in?
That just has a whole another layer as on to what you just saw, Mara.
So, person who killed her.
One of the originals.
Potentially. You said that they were able to. Mara, you did mention that in that vision of yours, they got rid of it, correct?
Yep.
And Barrick will look over to the head librarian. And be I think with the fact that she's able to confirm that with what she is seeing, that probably says a lot right there as to what happened.
As he's saying that, Mara's intrusive thoughts in, and she decides to sort of slide her finger.
Oh no.
It was a book.
It was a page of a book.
Oh, I thought it was actually physical.
Mara
Mara
gives
dead
herself a
instantly.
paper cut.
I mean, do you?
Oh no.
Yeah.
He gave the DM an idea.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's go.
Fuck it, we ball.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'm the kind of person who, when the DM says, "Are you sure?" I say, "Bet."
Okay. Alrighty. Well, everyone, you're gonna be waiting for a minute. Stream, you're gonna be able to have all of this to yourself here.
Oh,
so,
boy.
please join me.
All right.
Ah, yes.
Hello.
As this moment of intrusive thoughts, it beckons at your mind, and you kind of think to yourself, I wonder. She's a murder goddess. Venerates blood and so on. Well, but if I was just... And as you prick yourself upon the paper, surprisingly easy, considering the age of the tome, you witness something that is by now to you rather familiar. A vision. Though in this, you can hear your heartbeat. The thump, the thump, the thump, the thump. You see the red on the edges of your vision as you are standing in a great circle. Before you floats one of these daggers, and you seem to approach. Like before, this appears to be a vision of something. Something like a memory, maybe of the nature of this dagger. You approach and take it in your hand. Your heartbeat thuds faster in your ears. The thump, 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 the thump. You bring the dagger closer to your chest, and you look up, and there before you is the goddess Zareem. She stands as a woman of utterly pale white. Between her and a sheet of paper you would see no difference, appearing almost as if dead. Yet her eyes, they're like a storm of blood. They swirl and they churn, a vortex of red with an empty, jet black center. Her hair flows and shimmers. It is silver and orange and again red. This color of visceral flowing blood is such a staple of her design. You see what seem to be glimmering red veins. They're almost a crystal red instead of the blood red that you've seen across her before. And what clothing she has barely covers. It seems more like sashes that spread behind her like a pair of wings and only barely cover anything else. And as you look upon her, there's a rush of love. It's devotion. It's sexual love. It's all encompassing. And as you lock eyes with her, you plunge this dagger. And instead of pain, you are rewarded with cascading delight. You then feel your flesh twisting, snapping, bones cracking. Your point of vision rises into the air. You feel more teeth, rows upon rows like that of a shark. You feel strange fins and tendrils, bones cracking and snapping, lengthening beyond flesh. Spikes, weapons, blades, claws fit for cutting through steel, evolving into some grotesque beast. And then suddenly, the thump! Reality snaps back to you, and you need to gasp for breath as your ability to breathe was for this moment halted. It's all thankfully just some memory of this profane book. And in fact, it snaps shut and clatters to the floor. And as you look at your hand, that small cut has dripped all across your hand, and there's a small puddle of it on the floor, and it is drip, 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 dripping.
Oh. Oh, that's fun. Oh.
So, for this, you will take 5 points of piercing damage
Okay.
from having fed this tome.
Right. Cool.
And now we shall return. Hello?
They're back. We gotta stop talking smack about them.
Rocks fall the party
man,
dies.
we gotta.
I mean, I guess you don't have to, but I just don't think they'll appreciate it very much.
So,
So Mara
what
turns
you
into
all
a
see
Teletubby.
is Mara slides her book along the edge, slides her finger, rather, along the edge of the page, and you see her stop breathing, frozen for
Oh,
a second. Then the book snaps itself shut and clatters to the ground. In that split second of time, what you hadn't noticed is that her finger had bled to such a degree that it formed a pool on the ground, and the book clatters into this. It seems to absorb the blood, and the head librarian darts over, clamps a metal box around it, latching it 3 times. And then he stares immediately at Mara and he says, "What? What did you see?"
I he staring wide-eyed, seeming to have a hard time responding, slowly looks down at her covered.
Val walks up behind Mara and puts his hands on her shoulder. Take a deep breath, Mara.
Saw a knife. I it on my pain felt, and you slowly start to see her face go from her shocked expression, a certain familiar expression, sadistic pleasure. Felt amazing. Did something.
I am not liking that look.
Very confused as to what's happening in the silence.
Val, for first off, is going to have an extreme look of concern on his face as he looks to Barrick.
And Barrick's looking over and like after he sees Mara's like face change. It's like that's not a that might be a problem. Looks over to the head librarian.
The fuck just happened?
To those who in them have an innate desire for blood. The tome is known to tempt. It does not actually do anything more than tempt a desire to draw one's own blood, perhaps showing a vision. Rest assured, it does no more than this. It was a tool of her cult in order to entice initiates with what powers she could give. I have since, myself personally, locked away most all of its power, but this is something beyond what anything else can lock away. Here, allow me one moment. He reaches out and touches your forehead for a moment, Mara. And there is a different sensation that courses through you. There's a moment of a golden light. It flows through you and brings with it a desire for justice, a desire for peace, a desire to right wrongs. And this sensation clamps down on that murderous desire and pulls it into the back of your mind again, away from the forefront.
He looks back down at her blood. And without saying anything else, she immediately runs out to the front door and begins to throw up in the.
Are we on the 30th floor of a building?
Yes.
Oh.
She ran really fast. Don't worry.
Okay, then she ran to the nearest window. I'm distract. You guys know this.
Yeah.
She
Barrack is
just ran
probably
really, really fast.
300
nearest
feet
bath-
below on the ground, a
Barrack will
shadow
prob-
appears over someone's head, and they look up. Oh, what's that? Uh.
Is
Barrack
it
was
raining?
Barrack would have been like, nearest bathroom is insert nearest bathroom.
I
So
don't know,
yes, with Barrick's direction, you're able to run and let loose your poor unfortunate lunch. Meanwhile, Val, while this is happening, you see out of the corner of your eye, Gideon slowly reaching toward a little dribble of the blood on the ground with a finger outstretched, doing a poor job of trying to be clandestine.
Immediately pulls out my Vorpal longsword and aims it at his throat.
Oh.
No, I'm still me. Just for now.
Then this is enough said.
Indeed it is. And he drops his arm.
After Gideon backs away, I'll put my sword back.
Gavin looks over to the head librarian. I think we should probably put that book away for the sake of many people here.
And I recommend cleaning up the blood before we have more blood to clean up.
It is unusual for it to call someone in that manner. I had not expected it. My apologies, but it is now thoroughly locked away.
I
It
don't
is
believe it's your fault. I think this is something that we all didn't
We-
expect to
yeah.
happen.
quite frankly, we all have some sorts of issues. Well, most of us. Barrick's pretty clean.
I know that well. He actually would often be the source of teasing for having never gotten in trouble.
Gavin smirks a bit at that.
Eric was a goody two.
Well, he was certainly better than me in my youth then.
But yeah, Mara had seen who indeed the vision that she saw regarding what happened with the Hammerlord's daughter, though she was able to get a rough idea, get an idea as to who it was in terms of visually. But like one of our concerns is, considering who they were working for, if they have any way of like disguising themselves or,
Barrick, how entwined is this order with the Hammerlord? Would it be possible that he would know the person if we showed them the sketch?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
It is often that I do have audience with the Hammerlord.
Lord Librarian, this is a must ask, but would you back us up were we to try to tell him about what we saw?
I have seen enough evidence to believe that your claims are as you say. So, yes.
And because thankfully I have thought about it right after Mara had seen her vision. But I was able to make a sketch of the person she saw. That who potentially did it, and he'll bring out the drawing of that was made like right after Mark came out of the vision, and while she still had a clear vision of who it was. And she said that this was the person that she saw. As he hands it over to the head Lord Librarian.
He takes the sketch offered and looks it over. He barely needs a second before he passes it back to you, giving it a small tap as you take it into your own hand. The Princess Guard, Genevale Hadris.
Out of character, can you make a write that down, please?
Already did.
All right, thank you.
Indeed, the appointed, guard to the princess.
One of our biggest concerns is that while he was the one who murdered that Mara has seen in the vision to have murdered her, he was also the one who claimed to have found her body.
I see. I
And
will
if
perhaps
I-
need to prepare documents, but that is all that I need to know. Knowing the Zarim cult, this, sadly, does not surprise me.
I'm sorry to intrude, but why is that?
It is nature of those whom follow Zarim to find places of power, to seat themselves in it and lie in wait. To wait and wait until there is just the ideal target. Then they will kill, in whatever way is most brutally poetic. Long have they been known for this.
And
So,
hey,
and he turns to look at you, Gideon.
so not to jinx it, but wouldn't it be the most poetic thing of all to kill the father on the day of celebration of his daughter?
Perhaps.
But in public, in a crowded area? I don't really think so.
The entire thing about her followers is they want the murders to be public. They want them
They
to be
want them
people
to
of
be
importance.
known. They
And
don't
what is
want them
more
to be
important than a
caught.
king?
We're talking
Fair
about
enough.
an individual. Yeah, we're talking about an individual who's murdering for immortality. They're not exactly itching to have that opportunity taken from them.
But so many people wouldn't know. They would probably just be laughing their head as they're struck down.
If I may be so
I'm
bold
just
as to
saying,
ask one more thing. And this is Val addressing the priest. I forgot what his title
Head
is.
librarian.
Head librarian.
Bookman.
He turns to face you.
Our suspicion, even though you believe us, which we're very fortunate about, but the fact that when we showed you the image of Hendris, you don't seem surprised that we're accusing him. Is there a reason to that?
Not out of any nature of his, if that is what you ask after. I am only unsurprised for the fact that it is the most perfect person to choose.
Being that he was her head guard.
Indeed.
He was the
I
one
understand.
who
And
found her dead, as it were.
yeah, and it would also be in a sense poetic that it would be someone close to her, somebody she confided in.
What
That
would
would turn up.
most please a goddess of murder, other than one whom you trust your life with being the one to take it?
Is there anything that we can do right now in order to bring it up to the Hammer Lord, or should we wait for you to finish to do what paperwork is necessary?
I will need, at most, a day. Then, I will be ready. In whatever way you do wish to make this confrontation, please inform me beforehand. I will then come and meet you at whatever choice you make as the confrontation place.
Would you have any recommendations as we were as I know we as a party were considering doing it at the Hammerlord's place?
Say that again?
Would you have any recommendations? As I know, one of the things that we were places we were considering in terms of bringing it up to the Hammerlord was in fact at his at his place.
I will say this. He is most likely to believe you, to offer you an open hand of trust, if it is that you do not press his hand. If he has some request of you, go with it. Once you have completed this request, present what you have. As I've mentioned, he has not been well as to the death of his daughter, and so he is resistant to anything. If you work with him, gain even the smallest rapport, that will be enough to lend you his ear. Does this make sense?
Indeed, and I know he actually did ask that we meet in specific, but also by extension the party look into things a little bit and with regards to his daughter, within reason, because I know as you had mentioned he is very touchy about it. Um,
Are so is there what we actually did plan to do to bring up the evidence?
while we're here, we might as well. It probably would not
Okay.
hurt, just so that we could potentially refine it more with the Hammerlord, present. Well, not
Our
with the
idea,
Hammerlord, with the head librarian.
our idea was to meet with him back in the head hall and ask him to bring up said princess's guard, to request him to sew up and bring out the evidence we had against him, to use zone of truth to more or less force him to confess and ensure the Lord Hammer knows that we indeed are telling the truth. As I do doubt if he makes a run for it within the halls, he would get very far.
Well, I see your logic. The unfortunate case is to make such an accusation, being outsiders, the only of you that would not be almost immediately imprisoned would be Barrick, and Barrick would then be made to answer to his family. Recall that this is the guard of the princess, someone he trusts. To go out in the open, at least without first greasing his palms by acquiescing to a request of his. I mentioned already that he is very guarded as to matters about his daughter. To accuse the one that he sees as having been the discoverer, who is perhaps, I would presume, most fervently searching for the killer, it would not go favorably.
Yeah, so we would have to rethink the plan entirely. At the very least, we now have you on our side.
We also have to beat the time clock that the Hammerlord has set.
Right. his request was to look into it, but we have, and well,
Not
we
that
know who
time
did
clock.
it. How
We have to beat
Right.
the time clock of him holding the festivities, where the next kill is going to be most likely to happen, and he might be the target.
Has there ever been a history of them working with accomplices?
There are cases. He pulls out another book and quickly flips through it. Yes. One such case where one did run interference, but there's only one that is ever permitted to actually do the killing. The other is only a means to it.
So there could only be one, but there is also a possibility there's two.
Indeed, but only one will have the actual ritualistic dagger.
Which means the other we need to look for suspicious activity from in order to determine who it is.
if there
And
even
if
is a second one.
As much as I do admire your desire for finding the truth, I would not be concerned about the second. The second would sooner disappear, even if it means leaving the actual killer stranded.
can I roll insight, see if he's telling the truth?
I mean, you don't even need to. He looks like he's perfectly well telling the truth.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't see why he would suddenly be lying after basically doxing the original.
Roll insight anyway.
You never know. Maybe he's the sidekick. Who knows?
I will double in.
if there even is one. A lot
So
of dice.
that's a problem. We already have a request of him to look into the killing, but we have done so in all. We can't really share any information that doesn't directly accuse the guard. How do we tiptoe around the outright accusation while still sharing the information?
You said that he had asked you to some kind of festival, or I assume that he must have, since you mentioned
Yeah.
it was a plan of his. Is that
Indeed.
right?
He said he did mention that he was considering of it having it be done as ways to potentially lure out the killer. However, our concern is considering the fact that it is, somebody close, like in the guard. In this case, it, with it being who it is, they'd be aware of the plan.
Then there is your inn. I would take this opportunity, plan this festival, take it upon yourselves to be fully in charge of it. Especially yourself. You are a rune shaper. You might easily turn his ear to favorably consider the idea. If it is, you do this favor for him. Prepare this feast, this whatever it may be. That is your inn.
It turn it almost into a trap, even. Even more than it already is planned to be.
A trap within a trap, in terms of, obviously,
Right. The Dard would simply think that the Dard would simply think that the festival itself is what's supposed to lure him, but we already know who he is. So before he even has the chance to make a jump, make a runaway, we can just simply confront him directly before it. Festival can still happen, it's thus he won't be able to attend it. Or at least that's what I'm assuming you're implying.
If he decides not to attend and decides to walk away, I'll follow him.
I don't think that would be in his nature from my understanding of everything that was said here, though. I don't think he'll simply just walk away. He'll either succeed or he'll fail. There's no other.
So is that our plan? Plan out the festival, have it carried out, but directly before it starts, we confront him with the Lord Hammer. But then it's the case where how do we go about telling the Hammer Lord how we know that it's him?
Maybe it's better
Oh,
if we
this
don't.
the librarian's on her back. That's
Well,
true.
We were. Well, I mean, sorry. The librarian here mentioned that we need to do this nice thing for the Hammer Lord, so that way we can make this accusation in the first place. Because if we do a nice thing for him, he'll be a little more apt to listen to the difficult news that we have to share. So, after we have the festival all set up and running, then maybe we could tell the Hammer Lord that we need to have like a meeting with him and some of his guard about maybe a security concern for the festival or something. I don't know, just something to get them all in, to get the Hammer Lord and him in the same place where we can make our accusation without arousing too much suspicion.
That could work. Um, I will say, if worst comes to worst, and we have to, you know, and we have to go with, having to catch him during the festivities, we should probably make sure that certain people, are guarded. Like,
Right, and thus in case we should have Revivify on hand.
resurrection. I know it's a higher price point, however, we have more of a buffer with resurrection compared to revivify.
Well, right now we have some information. I think we should probably go get this thing underway then. I mean, while we're preparing for the festival, we can nail down our other plans as we go. I think this is something we need to make sure we jump on like right now. Cuz if this guy is planning on killing the Hammer Lord, then who's to say he's even going to wait for this festival in the first place? We need to do
Because
this.
it's a spectacle.
But
my biggest concern would be that it's not necessarily the Hammer Lord that he targets next.
very good
Yes,
point.
it would be, fitting. However, the target may not necessarily be the Hammer Lord. It might be somebody else up in the echelon.
Well, regardless of who it is, the Hammer Lord, it can be some random civilian. We need to make sure that nobody else gets killed by this guy, which means we need to act now. We need to do this now. So if our plan is to help organize this party and take over the organization for it, we should get out to the Hammerlord and tell them that right away. And we
If
can
we do that,
figure
we
out the
blow
rest of the plan
everything.
later.
We will blow everything if we do that. We do not have
How?
trust built. We will be arrested on the spot.
For
Not
offering to organize the festival?
Not if Barrick does it.
I would also add that if he did ask you into the investigation, you do at least have ear enough. Whether or not Barrick offers, you all could offer, as long as you at least have Barrick present, he will be willing to hear it.
I mean, it's not really that complicated to communicate with him in this case. We come up with our plan, and then we just have Barrick be the one to explain it.
That works with me.
Yeah. Plus, think about it this way: if the entire idea is that he cannot resist killing someone high priority, imagine a festival ran by, well, you knew of us. Apparently, we're heroes. Val over here is another king. I'm just imagining that's just gonna put even more hype in him wanting to strike during it. Just not just Lord Hammer running a festival, it's heroes of various lands and an entire other king running it.
Head Librarian, I have another question of maybe something that could help us, but I'm not entirely sure if it will help us, so maybe you'll be able to inform me of it better. Was the princess engaged?
He holds up a hand for a moment, and he actually stands from his desk now, and he actually walks off, waves a hand, and a shelf moves out of the way, and the shelf moves. Comes back a few minutes later and is flipping through what is very obviously some kind of a record. Now, give me just one moment.
Yep.
All right, so as he's flipping through, he looks up and asks, "While I am searching, may I ask, what is your thought process in this?"
I'm trying to think of anyone else who would be a major target at this festival. The Hammerlord, in some regard, is too obvious. And if the Hammerlord is the one who we need to be hurt for this to be satisfactory to some extent, the next go-to would be the obvious thing in front of us, which would be her fiance.
I will dig through the records. It is my belief that she might be. However, I am not entirely certain. It could be that it was an in-family only matter, and while there would be records, and I would be able to access them, it would take me a small amount of time.
Then may I ask one last question related to that?
Of course.
How easily accessible would that be to a head princess guard?
As high ranking as he is, he would not have access to anything that I do. Matters of our Lord Librarian, God of Knowledge, and his matters, Guard of the Princess, they do not intertwine. So, no. The only way he would have learned is if perhaps our Hammer Lord would have told him.
I see. Well,
There's
at least
one thing.
maybe narrows it down.
I believe your Dragonborn wished to speak. What do you have?
My apologies, but there is something we need to keep in mind when we go to confront him. We cannot, under any circumstance, let him be struck down. If he dies, he wins. He just respawns in some temple and who knows where and carries on. We either need to find the temple and set up a way for him to not be able to escape from it, or we need to ensure that in some way he is not killed during any resulting ruckus.
And then we have to devise a way to kill him if that second option comes through.
Well, we already know how to do that.
Yes, but the issue is getting him to stab himself.
Plenty of ways to do that.
Does he
On
have
that,
to
you and I
stab
agree.
himself, or does he just have to be stabbed by the weapon?
He has to stab himself with the weapon. Seppuku.
You know, Val got me
Whether or
thinking.
not he's willingly doing that is another thing entirely.
I feel there should be intent. One way or another. Only way to be sure.
You know, Val's question did get me thinking. You know, as to who some of the other potential targets could be. Like, besides the Hammer Lord, I'm thinking maybe. If we're thinking high profile target, you know, that could be any of the major heads of families. Or I even, you know, potentially even you know,
Yeah,
Lord Librarian.
that's the other thing. Yeah, we have our suspicions of who the next target will be. The obvious suspicions. Cannot
If
those.
I may, as much as I understand your desires to come to the most correct decision, action is perhaps what is best here.
That's why I was going to suggest that I follow him.
That's
To isolate yourself? Not at all. You'd be a free offering to Zareem.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
He said that to follow him alone would make you a free offering to Zareem.
They can try.
And he will succeed.
I can be pretty sneaky.
I would not trust any stealth against the sight of a goddess that would love nothing more than a man of hubris trying to chase one of her followers.
Let's
Work
just go
together.
do something. We have to do something. We can't sit here in this library and talk about a whole bunch of what ifs for hours on end. We have to figure out our plan, we have to start it, and we can figure stuff out as we go.
I would agree with your small friend.
Let's just
To debate things is for scholars who pore over books. You are folk of action. And action
Right.
it is indeed the time for.
So here's the plan. We head to Hammer Lord. We have Barrett tell him that we want to take over the festival. We set that up well enough that the Hammer Lord crushes us, has his face in us, and then we spring a trap on the head on the Dard.
Excellent. We have a plan.
R-
And let's
and-
go.
Right. And we have to make sure the festival is set up in a way that isn't suspicious, so it should be easy
We could,
enough.
Gideon, we could worry about that after we talk with the Hammer Lord.
Zerzan is already heading towards the
Right.
door out.
Real quick, let's move over to Mara.
Oh.
At this point, hello,
Oh,
welcome
she
back.
exists.
Hi.
So,
Who is
of
this?
course, you've been kind of regathering your innards after, well, unfortunate book events. You see, of course, a very determined-looking Zerzan marching with intent in mind.
Marco looks over at her. It's like, go and follow.
As you follow, you notice that Zerzan is quite promptly marching right down to the bottom floor, and as energized as this small goblin is, she appears to be heading directly back to the fortress castle. And I would presume the rest of the party is approaching in tow.
Yep, I know Barrick
Yep.
is at least after making.
Yeah, I request
Thank you
a
for-
break.
Yeah, I think this could be good.
All right then.
The break
Alright.
of the bio.
Well then,
Yeah.
we will be back in 15 minutes or however long it takes for us all to return.
3 hours.
7
I think
hours
Lana would actually
later.
kill us.
Yeah, see you soon.
I
And we return. Hello.
Excellent. Hello. Hello.
Hello,
We are
hello.
back. Well, we gotta kind of do this rapid fire because we only got like 40 minutes left. Let's go.
Yeah.
So onward to the fortress castle. The guards kind of look at you all, and they kind of shrug at each other, and then they open the gates to let you all back in. Because hey, weren't you just here a minute ago? How they kind of look at you, and then they go, well, whatever. You look like adventuring folk. Might as well let you back in. Because indeed they recognize all your faces, and then you're back inside the fortress castle. Do you head immediately for the audience chamber, or at this point, do you take a chance to look around?
I mean, Barrack would probably head towards the yeah, no, Barrack would not be happy. Um, Barrack would probably, take a moment to look around, but he would probably be focused on talking with the Hammer Lord to see about allowing the party to help with festival preparations.
Gideon, I swear. Okay, so you guys did go directly to the Hammer Lord, right?
I thought that was the plan.
That's what was said.
Okay, I'm just double checking. I apologize there, Barrick. It is occasionally a little difficult to hear yourself.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm doing my best here. I'm doing my best. Okay, so you have just kind of walked straight into the room and have declared this before him. He kind of looks up, a little surprised, and clears his throat a little and says, "You are you sure? You seemed hesitant before, but I will take the assistance if it is you will jump so forward."
It at least gives me something to do while I'm, here, in like here in my home country. And, if it would, be a good way to honor, honor all that's, honor who it's for.
He nods. He nods and he strokes his beard a few times, and then, in agreement, nods again. Yes, it would be good for a rune shaper to. Yes, yes. Indeed. Take what you may need and prepare this festival. Is this all that you had?
I think that was all. At least for now. I'm mainly because yeah. Otherwise, I would, I would not be. Knowing myself, I would otherwise be like too into the books. So, and on it, like this is definitely one of those times where it's better to help out and honor everything. So.
I certainly see what you mean. Yes, yes. Take what you need. Go and prepare. I will continue to remain here.
All right, thank you. And well, before he leaves, Barrick would ask, um, would you want me to start on the plans by myself and bring you in, or would you is there anyone that you've started to talk to about the festival?
I will pass the word along as is needed. You may plan it amongst yourselves. Simply inform me as soon as you are finished.
All right. Thank you. And Barrick will nod towards the rest of the party. In that unspoken, if you have anything else to say that's not the obvious, speak now or we are going to start planning.
Oh, it's like if anyone wants to ask the Hammer Lord anything else.
I have no questions.
I also have none.
None.
All right. If that's the case, then we will. At least I will head back out and uh probably motion towards the rest of the party and be like, probably best if we start, but we head back towards my place, my family's place, as uh, it would be easy enough to start planning there, and knowing at least some members of my family, they'd probably be interested in helping once they realize, once they overhear what the planning is for.
Then it seems we have a plan. So, sounds good. Let's go.
Yep. And let's walk back towards the Rune Shaper family house, and at least get stuff set aside for planning.
How long is it till the festival?
2 hours.
Did you ask that of Barrick or of the Hammer Lord?
I mean,
I was under the impression that we were told before, so I was asking the DM.
Okay, so DM-wise, the festival was, at least provided memory serves, set to be approximately a week out. Being as you guys are now in charge, you could modify that plan if you wished.
Well,
Uh, considering how abruptly we took over the festival, I think we should probably delay it by at least another week, if not more. At least to know how far along it already is.
However, we should not delay it too long, though.
Of course.
I don't think we should delay it at all, frankly.
Well, It's already
No,
been
I
theoretically
agree on
been
that.
worked on.
I agree on not delaying it. New party comes in, starts taking over everything. Same party asked to investigate, and suddenly there's a delay. The thing that seems a bit suspicious.
Don't want to go implicating yourselves, after all.
That is true.
I mean, I was
So-
mostly going just for the sake of urgency. If he does have any other plans, we need to spring our trap as soon as we can.
No, to make him feel safe, we should simply go along with the schedule that we already have.
We could use that to
My
our
thought process
advantage.
was my thought process was simply that if we delayed another week, we'd have enough time to know what's already been planned, what's already been in the works, and for us,
We can
put
find
our
that
own
out.
stuff in more effectively.
We can find that out pretty quickly anyway. Since we're the ones in charge, we don't need a whole week to do that.
Right, but fair enough.
And at the possibility of accelerating or delaying, uh, either could tip off our quarry. So we should stay the course as it was, keep things as expected.
At least, the stuff that was already planned, we should not change.
Exactly.
Of course, on this one. So it would take us like perhaps a day in order to perhaps know everything that's already in the works. Depending on how far everyone involved is spread out.
A day, maybe two. Depends on how grand this festival's going to be.
Given the fact that it's the higher arc of the echelon here, we're gonna have to go pretty all out.
Don't worry about that. Paperwork Man is here to help.
I wasn't worrying about it, I was just stating a fact.
Unfortunately, at that, Paperwork Man was saddened. He did not get to be the hero he wished.
So, Barrett is your name, yes?
Correct.
Sorry, it's still trying to get used to everyone's names. It sounds like your family is a very, very knowledgeable bunch. Perhaps we could ask their advice and see what they have to think about getting this festival in order. I mean, just because we are the ones who agreed to sort of take over doesn't mean we still can't seek help from other sources.
That was actually kind of my plan, was to utilize some of the knowledge that my family knows. And
Excellent. Yeah.
I do suggest we do add to the festival. I
Yeah.
think if we suddenly took over and then do nothing with it, it would be equally as suspicious.
Well, of course we're going to add.
Yeah, indeed. I think my biggest, at least with my family, we could probably, ask them about, smoothing out some of the stuff that, that was already planned, and then see about, ways we could add in the new things without, messing up the current stuff. At least, the stuff that, for everyone. Obviously, we're gonna refrain from certain things,
Mm-hmm.
or at least mentioning certain things.
Well, then let's go.
Yep. And go to, Barrick's family's house. And
Val would know, Fox needs reminded. This festival is in honor of his daughter, or is this just a random festival being held?
In honor. It's basically a
honor.
celebration.
Okay, so we're basically Irish waking this then, right?
Yeah,
Okay, that's all I needed.
And we go to enter Barrick's family's house, and probably description for the description of Barrick's family's house for well, the in-game description for Zerzing, because I know out of game, I think.
Indeed. As you are walking with this party around you, which, real quick, actually, so just for the sake of reminder, could everyone go through and describe what their character actually looks like? I was going to have this occur earlier, but I figure might as well do it now. And we'll start with either Gavin or Mara, since I know you two have put some detail into what your characters look like. You got some drip going on.
Mara, go first. I'm a little out of it.
No worries. Yeah, Mara is just a little 5'4" pink tiefling with pink frizzy hair, pair of horns, obviously. Her eyes have black sclera with irises, and currently she has a pink maid outfit on.
Don't question it, just accept it.
Sounds about right.
She's also curvy as hell, so.
Well, can we kill this guy?
No.
It's like the old grandma robot from the robots, the Fanny robot.
Jesus. All right.
Alright.
Oh, that's a pull! I love it!
Oh my
I'm
god,
sorry,
what?
Was Nanny Fanny just fucking referenced?
Nanny
Yes,
Fanny got fucking
yes,
referenced.
Yes. Yes, she did. We are dropping robots references all up in here. Next, let's have some Big Well jokes.
God damn, what in the... What?
Don't say that, Mara. Don't say that, Mara.
What? There's no Nanny Fanny gifts in Discord. No.
Dun, dun, dun.
According
The
to
fools.
according to this, her name is Aunt Fanny.
Yeah, close enough.
There it is. Okay.
Sorry, it's only been like 20 years since I've literally seen the show.
Dear God, putting
Anyway.
Pixar moms to shame.
Anyway.
That ain't just a dump truck. That's an entire dump truck garage.
It's the whole ass hangar.
Fire fucking.
You see
Well, I mean,
right there.
exactly,
That's that trash island that's floating in the Pacific.
All right. So
I'm gonna disconnect real quick here. But I'm back.
I need to see. Anyways.
okay.
Crazy.
So Mara's character was described. Moving on.
Yes.
Who's next?
Gavin is also a tiefling, but much more gruff, one might say, but in a sharpened, chiseled way. He's about 6 feet high. He's got charcoal black skin. Hair no longer in dreads. That was cut and grown out more to just normal, somewhat wavy-ish hair. and currently wearing nice-ish clothes, but still, almost semi-formal. Sleeves kind of rolled up at the moment, and you can see a bunch of white tattooed on arcane glyphs all up his arms.
Epic.
And his eyes are solid iris, like piercing yellow.
Nice.
We're talking, this guy gives off the vibes of Sherlock Holmes and John Constantine right here.
All right, who'd like to go next then?
Oh, and there's a flower in his hair too.
Cool. Nobody said anything. Barrett, go.
All right. Barrick being the I say closest in height to Zerzan, but still like 4'6", I want to say.
Definitely the closest in height to Gavin.
But Barrick, besides the adamantine plate armor, the dwarven adamantine plate armor, he's wearing, like, underneath it, he has like a more like scholarly-esque clothing. Definitely patterned in a green with like red and gold trimmings, and obviously with his books like stacked here and there. The only dwarf of the party, and then you know with the sigils kind of for the Lord of the Knowledge, on some of his stuff, indicating that he does indeed serve under the Lord of Knowledge. But definitely, definitely a bit of cleaner.
Okay.
All right, and we'll next, I think, go to Gideon.
All right. Give me one moment.
While we're waiting in that moment, I would also like to iterate.
Gavin
Gavin hasn't had time to shave, so he has a beard now.
Beard fling.
Gideon is very likely the single tallest member of the entire party, standing at a whopping 7 feet tall. He is currently clad in an all-black armor, full plate, with no visible eye slit with which to see out of. There's also a bit of like a quiver / like bag around his chest, and behind him is various weapons. Seems to be a lance, a straight sword, long sword, all sorts of weapons just sort of strapped to his body, ready at any given moment to utilize them. And beneath that armor is, well, a dragonborn. Looks human enough, except obviously the dragon tail, dragon wings, and the patches of brass cells that sort of
Dragonborn have wings?
pop up on his.
I
can't
know,
help myself.
revolutionary.
Who would have thought?
Sorry, I'm not letting that meme die yet. Continue.
Patches of brass dragon cells sort of pop up on his fin almost randomly here and there. He looks pale. Easily, probably the palest member of the party. Very much, okay, this person probably hasn't seen the sun in a few hundred years or so. Like,
Which is
very much unnatural impalement.
which is saying
No.
something when the dwarf is a bookworm.
And occasionally when he speaks, there's the slightest glint, the very slightest glimpse of fangs in his mouth. And his eyes are a sort of bluish color. And his hair is blonde. I think that'll be enough.
Nice.
Oh shit, does that leave only me now?
Yep.
Fuck!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That do be how process of elimination works.
Let's go, elf boy.
Oh god, I have to remember everything that's happened to this poor fucker.
Including the lizard tail. Let us remember the lizard tail.
Oh
And
man,
the circlet of
I have to
flowers
remind him
in
that
his
I wanted
hair?
him to forget. I wanted him to forget, so I can get on to him. Dang it.
No.
You forgot about your wings, though.
Twice.
Anyways, when it mattered. Anyways, so Val, Varys Galnodal, King Varys Galnodal, is a slender, muscular, Elridian elf.
Eladrin,
stands-
but whatever.
Eladrin. Okay, my bad. Standing at 6'2" with ash gray hair and white bangs framing his face. He has a circlet of flowers in his hair. His eyes are I'm gonna butcher the wording for this, but he has two different sets of eyes. You live with it. I'm not gonna go and
Heterochromia.
Thank you, Merrick. Someone was gonna correct me. His left eye is normal with a golden iris, where his right eye is purple with a black celerica. And he has a lizard tail that has probably grown back by now.
Oh yeah.
He dresses now. He used to not dress this way. He dresses more formally, but he's kind of mixed his formal wear and his adventurer wear together to something of a formal adventurer hodgepodge dress. And yeah, and if you look at his hands, he has they're flame marks, right, Lana?
Indeed. I believe specifically on your left.
I thought it was on both for some reason, but yeah, on his left hand he has a flame mark, and I think that's everything.
You forgot something.
I said the tail already.
No, it's not that. It's not that, Val. How could he forget him? Your most dearest companion, Terrence.
Oh, are you? I was about to say, are you fucking mentioning Terrence?
Honestly, since then I had
with you this
assumed that you
entire
guys
time.
returned him to the vault. I honestly have just assumed you returned him to the vault, which is why I wasn't ever bothering to play the character.
I thought he was cursed to be attached.
Yeah, I thought he was cursed to be
Yeah.
attached.
Val can only remove it when he dies or drops to 0.
Well, at this point, I guess Terrence has just been remarkably quiet.
Oh, I did forget one other thing about Val. I forgot it was a thing because I hadn't thought about it in forever. Some of the skin on Val is also bark-like.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
and
could
those
call
flowers.
them wooden.
I mentioned the flowers. That was the first thing I mentioned with his hair.
Well, just a specific point. They don't appear to just be flowers. They appear to actually be growing out of his hair and physically intertwined as part of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they also wilt and
Yep.
Oh, they're wilted 90% of the time then. He is a stressed plant.
Very, very dour. Oh, does Gavin's flower also stress wilt or whatnot like that? I don't know. You only ever told me I had one.
Not to the same degree. So, like, yes, it's just not as noticeable.
It just changes color. It's like a chameleon.
Well, I mean, I already posted a picture I drew up of Zerzan, so there's that. I will say, really, the only difference between how she looks now versus in those pictures is she has some weird looking apparatus strapped onto one of her forearms. So, just putting that out there. That's the only difference between those images and what you guys would see. Just because I didn't know I would have that item until after I had drawn this picture. So,
There you go.
That's a PNG of the item on top of Jerzen.
what?
I said there's just a PNG of the item.
Oh. I mean, it's strapped onto her forearm. Like, it's made up of two pieces. It's strapped onto her forearm, and then there's a smaller piece that's like on the back of her hand, and it's like strapped onto her hand.
It's not a PNG. It's an NFT.
And it has these like
My
two
God.
things sticking out the front of it. But that's really about all you can tell from it. I have a picture of it, but it doesn't look exactly the same in this as it does in that thing that I drew, just because the technology it works off of is different from what Lana told me is available technology in this world. So, but yeah, she has that. But anyway, happy to make everyone's acquaintance. You now acquired a little gremlin.
Holy shit, that's actually accurate. Well, he's a goblin artificer, and a gremlin is a problem in a machine. A glitch.
Yep.
Don't
Holy
feed her after
shit.
midnight.
It was like a tier 4 joke.
Don't get her wet. She'll multiply.
It's too late for that.
You wish?
Mm.
Everyone
just
went
wait.
silent.
Just wait. Don't let Zerzan meet Gideon's succubus wife.
Ha. I think this is probably a good place to call it, though.
yeah.
We picked up the.
But not before the immediate announcement of the new Barrack and Zerzan ship. Let's go!
Oh, I thought you were going to do a shitty Raid Shadow Legends fucking sponsor.
This stream was brought
You
to
said
you
it, not
by
me.
NordVPN.
No.
We do
Okay,
not.
no, but hold on. We already know that Barrack has added Zerzan to the book.
Oh god. Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh.
It
You
only
know,
took.
See
It
the
only took.
inspiration book.
It only took 3 minutes.
I'm scared to find out how Zerzum has been added to this book.
Oh, it is exclusive. It's not even like softcore mama porn books. It's just outright terrible. And Barrick just writes it about the entire party.
Some AO3 shit.
See the normal smut he writes is the actual well-written stuff. No, this is the secret one that he keeps in the back that no one actually knows about. That's just 50 Shades of the Party.
Oh god.
No, the actual better 50 Shades.
50 Shades, but not awful in every way.
Yeah.
Yeah, written with some vague modicum of class.
Yes.
Written by someone who knows how to write a book.
Written by someone who understands the difference between romance.
Indeed.
But anyways, I
Yeah, what a way to end the stream.
indeed.
What a way to end the stream.
Alright,
Porn!
50 Shades of Party spin-off adventure. Let's go.
All I can think about is Scott the
Introducing
Waz, like leaning
introducing
in and
the-
just going, sex.
Introducing the new spin-off, Galavants through Rashiva 2, The Bedroom.
Galavants through Rashiva After Hours.
Rated
I feel like
X.
a podcast.
But I hope everyone here enjoyed. Just a reminder, we play theoretically every other week at 7 p.m. CST.
We try to.
We try to. So I hope we will see you there, and we also have a playlist on the channel of all the previous streams that we have done since I started
Almost
streaming on
all of
YouTube.
them.
Yeah, because there was a time when I streamed on Twitch, and then before that there was someone else who was streaming it. Regardless, it's there. Go, you can watch it to sort of catch up. But
Yeah, if you watch it, you understand how 13 ways to shrewd to hell Zerzan is.
I'll find out on the way.
But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.